Hey everybody, this is LuckyDminor with another episode of Player Chess Free for All. Today I'm reviewing a game where I played with an opposite 1500s and to my right 2100 and blue to my left with 1966. So strong opponents to left and right, possibly a weaker partner in the opposite. So I open with the king's pawn. Standard opening here. My opposite opens with the queen's pawn. Okay, and I push the queen's pawn too. And yellow is moving forward with the pawn. I'm moving forward. Green and blue are just developing, not caring about us promoting. Blue even castles. And it looks good for some queening here. Okay, yellow attacks the green bishop. Bishop blocks yellow pawn. I go and promote anyway. Usually I would possibly wait for promotion until it's really safe, but I'm not sure if I can trust yellow in this. He may just take my pawn here with his pawn, thinking he cannot promote anyway. So that was too risky for me, so I promote, and if green wants to sack the bishop, I'm happy to take the bishop, and then yellow will promote. That will also kind of help me, for he's then a little stronger opposite for me. Okay, blue continues to develop. Yellow also, and green takes my queen. So I take the bishop, I win the points, and blue keeps developing, and yellow also promotes his queen. I move back in order to avoid any trades. You can never be sure. Blue develops. Yellow pulls his queen back. And green develops. So at this point, I'm ahead with a few points, but nothing big. And yellow, being the supposedly weakest player on the board, has two queens. He's my opposite, so that's kind of good. Let green and blue fight with those two queens. I continue my development. Blue pushes a pawn. Yellow develops. I have to watch for my knight here, but it's not as urgent. I also want to lock the bishop's diagonal from blue. Blue pushes. Yellow opens lines for bishop and queen. Possibly at some point there may be some trades or attacks going on there. Green pushes the pawn. Pawn is not protected, but still threatening this pawn attack. So I want to stop those pawns from moving freely. Also want to block this bishop line here. Blue was trying to get a queen at some point, and yellow is doubling up the diagonal towards blue's queen. Fianchetto by green, and I pull in my bishop. Whenever I have doubled these pawns, I very often will make this move here in order to at some point possibly attack the green queen or the knight here. Okay, queen comes out. Yellow castles may not be the best idea with these opportunities here and possibly that. So that doesn't look very good for yellow. Okay, I protect my pawn and I move my rook from the blue's bishop's diagonal, just preparing some safety here. Okay, and yellow offers a trade to blue. This is 1-point queen against the 9-point queen, supported by the bishop. That's good. So let's see if I can attack something here. Green is protecting his king, but possibly at some point doing threats here. Or maybe even here. You never know. So what can I do? Blue's queen is attacked. I cannot take here. The queen could just retake. I have nothing I can immediately take from green. But of course, I want to somehow support the attack. But it's not really something that I can see. And I rather attack the undefended green pawn, also threaten possible attacks from here. And blue is bringing his queen away from the threat. Okay, yellow is banging on blue. Now threatening to take this pawn with double protection from this diagonal, with a possible fork on queen and rook. And if blue would retake, then blue's king is severely weakened. Also, yellow is helping out with the threats on his own king when he gets to get rid of that knight and bishop. Okay, green pushes forward, but my knight is already away. And I just develop my other knight. And blue is preemptively taking that knight in order to protect his own king position. Yellow retakes, has a strong position of his queen now in front of blue's king. Green is taking the king out, threatening to take here at some point. If I move my queen, I counterattack with my bishop. So this now would possibly also give yellow the opportunity to take something from green. Cannot take this pawn, queen could take back. Could possibly push that pawn and attack. Okay, what's blue doing? Pushing pawn for queens. Also, maybe at some point threatening to attack here. And yellow is continuing to attack blue. Now this pawn is hanging. And this queen is hanging again. So additional trade opportunity. Green is just bringing his queen into safety. And I'm again considering how can I support yellow here. But I do not really have items that can attack. I could make a second attack on the queen, but the queen could just move away. I could then trade, well, with yellow's help, possibly win the knight there. Not sure about that. But I didn't want to risk being into a trade scenario here. Okay, yellow is very aggressive. So he's a low-rated player, but he plays really tough for blue here. Okay, green starts a counterattack with possible check from there. I can take, but I have to watch out. So again, can I support yellow in this attack? Otherwise, blue would just take that queen. And still, I do not really have the right move here. Maybe I should have developed something better earlier. So I just move my king to avoid the check from here. And yellow loses his queen. I'm kind of sad that I could not really support him there. Okay, now yellow is threatening to attack this bishop at some point, possibly. Also, he's protecting that bishop against the queen. Okay, green pulls back his knight, that's good. I move over my knight. I want to now, at some point, have an attack line here. Also, I want to possibly move over here or from there. So that's my ideas here. Blue is pushing for queen. Yellow is stopping him with the bishop. Green is moving away the pawn. It's protected by its own knight. And I'm now attacking that pawn twice. And threaten to take it, and also then threaten to have further attacks to this knight and queen. Okay, blue keeps pushing, now with 2 pawns. Yellow may come too late to stop the pawn with the pawn, but otherwise he can still use the bishop. Green is making a slow queen move. And I continue my shift over to green side. I'm not sure at this point whether I want to go there, but I thought that having these 2 knights here is first a good defense against those green knights, but also always a possibility to attack green when yellow has a chance to support that attack. So blue moves on with his pawns and puts this pawn in a position where I can take it. Okay, that's a mistake by blue. Let's see. Yellow is stopping the other pawn, that's good. Green is moving on. And I'm not taking that blue pawn. Why am I not doing that? Is it a mistake? So I plan to do something here. I can take here easily. And knight could take back, I could take back. So I put pressure on green, which is not bad. But I should possibly have stopped blue from promotion here. And just take that. What if I did that? So if I took there, well, I am in danger that blue would possibly attack me. Does green have any aggressive threats? Not really. So maybe I should have just taken that one. Okay, but I did this, and blue created a queen. Yellow steps away from the trading threat with blue. And green takes my knight. I take with the bishop. Now I attack both this pawn and maybe later on with doubling up here, I can also attack on this diagonal. Further protection for the blue pawn is not really needed. It's more about opening up this attack line. And yellow takes out the rook to attack the blue queen. Okay. Green sacks the rook. Didn't want to give up his pawn. And I take back and still attack the pawn. So I'm not really sure whether this whole move here was good. I trade material with green. Green is kind of the strongest player on the board. But I should watch blue. He's pretty much material here and is always a threat to me from the left side. I'm not happy with my game at this point. Okay, blue moves back. Yellow pulls out the bishop. Okay. And green moves on. Also here, shouldn't I stop that pawn with my pawn? I mean, cannot directly go here because of my queen, but taking my queen out where it may be threatened from that diagonal is not the best option here. But anyway, I just make this move. I was scared about this knight moving away and then the queen attacking that pawn and then the king. Okay, blue attacks yellow. Yellow leaves his bishop hanging there. Yellow could possibly trade. Blue could possibly trade. And green promotes the queen. And still the knight moved away. Now this queen is even protecting that queen. And I cannot take. Also, I cannot move away my queen because of the pinning. So this kind of turns all horrible towards me. There's nothing I can put in between those two queens. I can just make some move. And here I'm lucky. I'm so lucky here that blue at this point like betrays partnership with the opposite player. This green queen was such a big threat to my queen and my king. And also blue and green put both together easily mated me within short term. And blue gets rid for me of that queen. Now those two queens can trade, but blue possibly would not even want to do that. Yellow brings out another knight. Green pulls back, prepares maybe to attack that queen at some point. And also like secures the bishop because now since he cannot trust blue anymore, he has to be careful. So I attack the blue queen. I want to get her away from there before possibly that queen would come over and then they would have a double attack on my queen. I don't know. So I rather push that queen away. Either she trades now with my queen or she goes away. And she luckily goes away. And there's a rook doubling from yellow. That's good. It's showing strong will to stop any promotions here. Queen moves on. And I move forward to have my two pawns protect each other. Okay, and now blue attacks yellow, as I suggested earlier. Blue's smart enough to not take with that pawn, but with the queen. He could also have taken with rook, but maybe the queen is even stronger there. But she's also now a little threat to my king, even though this pawn is protected. But whenever blue checks me, that could possibly be a mating situation. Okay, green develops the rook, prepares for his own pawn pushing. I move around with my king, not really happy with my position. I don't want to be on the diagonal of that bishop. Blue is offering trades with yellow. Also, if yellow would move away, then this pawn would be pinned and then this bishop or this queen could take here. So very dangerous for yellow. And yellow finds a fantastic move. He attacks blue, checks him, is protected by his own rook. And I don't know if you've already seen it, I have a mating chance here. Can green do something about it? Well, he could possibly just take something from me, knowing that I will not mate blue. But he doesn't do it. And I made blue. And suddenly my position is much better than I had before. With those two blue queens here and my open king position, I was very scared. But now, of course, I have 39 points. I'm the point leader, far away from green, who's supposedly the strongest opponent. The supposedly weaker player is doing very well here. And I'm pretty happy to possibly win this game now. Yellow prepares to take away that pawn to allow his pawn to promote at some point. Green is attacking the yellow rook. And I'm developing my bishop, also protecting my king against any threats on this diagonal. Okay. Yellow's doing the expected move, and green is again attacking yellow's rook, also stopping promotion ideas from that pawn. I move back my queen in order to possibly now promote myself. Also, whenever that rook comes out, to have possible checks from there. And also, of course, to bring my queen back in the game and have her well protected. Okay. Yellow could still try to promote and then trade the green rook. He could also sack the rook in order to go for promotion. Not sure if that would be a good idea. And green further concentrates on moving over towards yellow. I like that. I prepare my own pawn for promotion at some point. And yellow possibly now planning to sack his bishop. Well, it's protected. It's not even a sack. Okay, and green is offering a big threat to yellow's king. Possible check. So if I would somehow support that, that would be dangerous for yellow. But also maybe he's preparing an attack on my unprotected knight and king here. I protect my knight. Okay, and yellow takes the rook. It even threatens if blue does not trade to take that rook and put a check on green. So green could have just stepped aside, but he was still scared that this check may cost him his queen or something later. So he trades the rook. I further protect my king position. And now green has a mating threat here. So should I attack yellow at this point? What would you say? I mean, I'm way ahead and I'm pretty sure that I can beat yellow. So I will possibly not attack yellow at this point. I mean, I make a rook move and stop promotions on this field. I don't want to have yellow two queens and be too strong. And yellow protects his king. Now the bishop is under attack. And now I decided I take away that pawn. I take away all the risks of yellow promotions, of yellow getting two queens. Also, I threaten possibly check or even mate at some point there. I protect the bishop, but I made a mistake. Did you see the mistake? Of course, the bishop will move away, and then my rook is hanging there against the queen. Stupid mistake. So I did two things. I betrayed my opposite. I possibly get now attacked by yellow, and I hung my rook. Okay, bishop moves away, queen takes rook. So I start for promotion myself now, but yellow stops me. So it's just one stupid move for just one tiny little pawn. I made yellow angry and scared about me and brought myself in a much worse position than I had before. Luckily, green does not shift sides at this point and continues to attack yellow. Maybe he felt like he's too weak to win against me, so he rather goes for second place. So I can attack the yellow rook. King has to move. Queen gives another check, and I take the rook. King has to move. Queen gives another check, and I make a little move with my pawn to go for promotions here to protect that pawn. I didn't want to be too fast and risky at this point. Okay, I push my pawns, and the queen that was kind of cornered there comes out, and well, this pawn is protected. But the queen may come over and threaten my king at some point, or come over and, I don't know, come in here. And green also now threatens to check me. So I'm really scared now about my king position here. I move over with a rook in order to be able to block that. Yellow protects his king against further checks. Also has a possible chance to attack the green king from here. Okay, green is offering a trade with me. Okay, I don't want to do that. I rather put additional pressure on him on this point, on this point. Okay, and luckily yellow is continuing the attack on green, so this little intermezzo of yellow and me being enemies kind of seems to be solved. Green preemptively secures his king, and I move over in order to avoid, I don't know, bishop attacks here on my king position. Or maybe at some point with the queen. And since yellow is no longer threatening, and green is no longer threatening to come in here on this side, I rather have my rook there. Okay, yellow moves back. Green offers additional trading. So maybe green thinks if we trade queens, then together with yellow, he could possibly win against me. I move back, and yellow additionally opens up his king position. Okay, I double my queen and rook. And that's not what yellow should be doing. So he really opens up his king now. Okay. I push my pawn. What is green doing there? Attacking that pawn. I can continue to push my pawn. Well, at this point, this field is still protected, but at some point I will promote. Yellow saves his pawn. And here the bishop is attacking that pawn, and this pawn is pinned. But in the game, I didn't see that. I just wanted to bring my rook out. Yellow wants to maybe support his pawn with the king, and I lose my pawn here. So I cannot take, so I just move aside in order to now threaten to take the green bishop. Yellow moving forward. Don't know what he's up to. Could come over here and attack my knight, or possibly later on here this pawn. And green checks me. So this is kind of worst case scenario. I just lost the pawn. Yellow has possible attacks on my king, and green checks me, and well, I have to move again. But yellow luckily is not attacking me, but still thinking about promoting his pawn. Even though this field is covered by my pawn and there's no fast way for him to promote. Green moves back. I double protect my pawn in order to have my queen free to move. Further pawn moves by yellow. So if he would have gone here at this point, that would really have been dangerous for me, possibly. Okay, green now threatening to check yellow. I attack the green queen in order to allow possible takes by yellow or something against green. And he makes a slow pawn move. Doesn't really help, doesn't avoid that check here, so that's a mistake by yellow. And there's a check. And here now I finally can promote my queen. Yellow cannot take back because of the check. And also his queen is now hanging towards my 1-point queen. And I take it away, so now I have 2 queens and yellow is not a threat anymore. I can possibly take that pawn and check in the next move. And I'm pretty sure that I can win over green with my 2 queens and rook. But green mates yellow at this point, so that's fine with me. Even easier to now concentrate on green. So I immediately come over with my queen, and green knows there's no chance to win over me now. I have this possible sack there. I can come over with the knight and attack here. So there's nothing much that green can do. And also I could possibly create more queens more easily than he would. Okay, that was this game. I was happy to win 15 ranking points, even though I was kind of making mistakes in between. But as I said, always play till the end. Yellow was doing a pretty good opening and middle game. I was surprised by that, and that was really nice to see. But then he made some mistakes with his king safety, and so then how it goes. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.